Greetings all, this is Max. Today we're going to talk a little bit about commerce and dealing with the local authorities about various things. Um, this has been going on for a while. Police shut down Girls Lemonade stand for not having a permit. They're also shutting down garage sales and stuff like that because apparently it's against the statute. Now, it's never against the law. It's against the statute to actually run sort of a private little enterprise there. You can't sell anything or do trade without the government getting involved. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat that that's pretty much correct. You can't engage in commerce without being engaged with the government. So, yeah. And unless these little girls are paying taxes on their profits for the lemonade stand, they need to be regulated. That's just the way that it goes. Now, if you're not getting a profit, the rules kind of change. Yeah. And how this comes into play with what my video is to here is very hitting home to me because this is primarily how I do my outreach stuff. Little free libraries on the wrong side of the law. Well, it's not on the wrong side of the law. It's on the wrong side of the statutes in the area you happen to live. So let's read. Crime, homelessness, and crumbling infrastructure are still a problem in almost every part of America, but two cities have recently cracked down on one of the country's biggest problems. Small community libraries where residents can share books. Huh. Officials in Los Angeles, Shreveport, LA, have told the owners of homemade lending libraries that they're in violation of city codes and asked them to remove or relocate their small book collections. In Los Angeles, Peter Cook, who asked under the name Peter McKenzie, and his wife, writer Lily Flanders, were told by the city investigator that their curbside library was an obstruction and were given a week to remove it or else face fines from the city. This came after an anonymous note from a neighbor who hates you and your kids was left in their library, ordering them to take it down, or the city will. Okay, this is free. It's a little box in a front yard. This is where I deliver all of my Bibles. I order them probably about once a month and drop them off in all of these different lending libraries. There's probably about a dozen of them in my area, and this is what I do. And the city doesn't like them there because people complain. Well, who's complaining? Probably Muslims, because their Muslim children run up there and they get free books, and they might find a King James Bible in there. That's my contention. That's what I think. But this isn't engaged in commerce. This is the main point. If you're not engaged in commerce, the government has no business doing anything with it. It's not a structure. You can't live in it. You're not parking your lawnmower in it. It's not an outbuilding. It is a big birdhouse that houses books that are free. It's free stuff. What does the government have to do with it? There isn't any taxes to be gained on free stuff. There has to be something else. And I contend that is more than likely because people like me are sticking Bibles in there and somebody gets offended. So what do? They use the government to push their garbage. Next story, big government cracks down on people sharing books. Obviously, it looks like a structure that should be taxed, right? Near my father's home, something that looks like a large birdhouse has appeared on someone's property. It is one of those little free libraries that you might have seen. They popped up all over the place. The idea is simple. If you want a book, you take a book, you leave another in its place. It's a nice, sweet idea that has worked out remarkably well, considering how many folks out there are grade A jerks. Yes. Yeah. Tolerance. Tolerance, right? No. It's not tolerance. If there's something in there that you don't like, somebody wants to put Bibles in there and you don't like that, then let's report them to the city for having an illegal structure or something, which is ridiculous. It's not a structure. It's a big birdhouse that has free stuff for people. It is good for everybody, good for everyone in the community. Now, where I am, this isn't really happening. This is I'm in Minnesota. We have free libraries all over the place, and I'm sure the community loves it, and it'll never be a problem here. But if you're in some other country that's not the United States, and this is happening in the United States, in California, and I think Arizona, just ridiculousness. Set up one of these little libraries. It's just free stuff. You know, you got a bunch of old books that you don't want anymore. You don't take them down to the half-price books place and sell them for like a nickel. Just throw them in a box and say free stuff. You know, little free libraries. They're great. They're all over the place. You know, people need to read. They need, you know, something beyond the internet. And this is great. You can walk around to all the libraries and find new books and new things to read. And it's a great experience. So, all I have to say about this is not commerce. The government has no reason to get involved in it, other than to be pricks, or somebody is complaining, or something like that. I have never seen any sort of garbage in these. I've never seen any sort of pornography or anything that wouldn't be considered appropriate for children under the age of 10 in any of these in my area. There's no reason to have any sort of regulation on, I want to give out free books. But the government doesn't want to. And why is that? What sort of harm is coming from this? Well, I would contend that it's probably because a lot of people are putting Bibles in them. That's my own personal opinion. And you have a Muslim neighbor or you got a Buddhist neighbor and they're like, oh, there's a Bible in here. I can't have my kids watch and listen to that. He's got to get rid of that thing because he keeps putting Bibles in there. That's what I think. We're going to get the government involved. Because, you know, foreigners who come to this country have no recourse except for going to the government. And, of course, they can vote because, you know, anyone without an ID who's not a citizen can vote in America. Thank you, Democrats. The whole thing just seems kind of ridiculous, but this is where we're at, you know. The rapture is coming very, very soon. Very, very soon. And I think that, you know, if you're in another country, the free libraries are kind of an America thing, but if there's nothing stopping you from putting one of these in your yard, go do it. Just go do it. Throw some Bibles in there, some fiction novels, some fun stuff for kids, some coloring books. You're doing a good thing. Get people off the internet a little bit. Get them walking around. Get them reading. It's good. It's all a good thing. The government hates it, though. That's another good reason to put one up. With that, I'm going to be out of here.